Diddy held without bail. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. This is the latest updates.
Hey, I'm Hallie, and tonight we are learning in just the last few minutes that a federal judge is now refusing to grant Sean Diddy Combs bail. Instead, he's going straight to jail tonight after Diddy pleaded not guilty to charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. Want to show you some of these brand new court sketches coming into us, like literally in the last 90 seconds. This is Combs in court after prosecutors arrested him at a hotel in Manhattan. It's where he's apparently been living for weeks, according to what a person familiar with the move tells NBC News. All of it a tipping point now in that sprawling federal investigation into the superstar's alleged years of sex crimes dating back to 2009. As we're just getting in some new and deeply disturbing details about the allegations against him and what looks like a massive criminal operation, allegedly. At least 50 victims and witnesses so far. And at the center of it, these hours and days-long sex acts known as, in their words, freak-offs that Combs supposedly orchestrated to abuse his victims.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs.
He was a director. Y'all got to remember, man. Hold on. Let me say something before we get into the show. He was a director. Baby oil, freak-offs. We didn't even know what the term freak-off meant until Cassie put it in her lawsuit. Fellas. Can I have a conversation with my guys real quick? Do y'all realize that this all started off with his obsession with a woman that was introduced to him by Ryan Leslie? Not saying that Diddy wasn't always a freak, but I'm talking about his exposure. Him being exposed, the seed is planted in a pretty-faced girl with good hair that's singing Me and You. Or less. Do you see why you have to be careful who you let into your space? Because it then can get you locked up, possibly for the rest of your life, with trafficking charges. It could cost you everything that you've ever built. A small seed there, a small seed there, you associate yourself with this girl. The very thing that you think that you controlling is going to come back to bite you and break you. It's going to ruin your life. The very thing that you think that you controlling is going to expose your insecurities, your problems, your troubles, your demons, and the fact that you never focused on build. I tell y'all all the time, focus on character. Build yourself up. Go into your prayer closet. Ask God to show you what your flaws are. Fix that so that when you finally become successful, you're not a crash dummy. And his obsession with a woman now got all of his personal business being exposed. Lose everything. And you were sitting on top of the world. You had the key to the city and you losing everything. Just like that. Just like that.
And he often electronically recorded them.
Prosecutors say Combs punched and kicked his victims to try to keep them under control. He'd also, they say, filled them up with drugs like ketamine and ecstasy for long periods of times, even using incriminating records to try to manipulate his victims. Prosecutors say they discovered this wide range of evidence against Combs in several raids. They found things, they say, like AR-15s, narcotics, more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant.
Of all of the things that they found inside of the house, you know what everybody talking about? 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Of all of the things, when HSI went in there with an army of agents that got HSI on the back of their shirts, you know what everybody was focused on? Not the guns, registered or not. Not the drugs, whether you was taking them or not. You know what they was focused on? Why you putting all that baby oil on, dog? Why you so greasy? People are focused on the baby oil. That's what they want to know about.
We should note here that an attorney for Combs says that he, I'm quoting here, will fight this with all of his energy. His team is already planning to appeal the bail ruling, meaning they will be back in court tomorrow, as Combs has, as we mentioned, pleaded not guilty. We've got team coverage. Laura Jarrett standing by with the legal analysis piece of it. But I want to start outside court with Julia Ainsley, because, Julia, this went fairly late into the day. I know you've been at the courthouse as a judge, as we've just learned, is denying this request for bail. Explain why that is and what else we've learned today.
Yeah, that's right. We were in there for about 2 hours as the Justice Department from the Southern District of New York laid out their case, very similar to what you saw in the indictment, saying why he should not be released, because they say that he is a flight risk, he could leave the country, and also that he has a history of obstructing justice.
That's why Russell Simmons won't come back to the United States of America. Low key. That's why Russell Simmons is over in where he at? Indonesia or something, acting like he practicing Buddhism. Russell Simmons won't even step foot in the United States of America. He ain't going to the Def Jam, the 50-year worth of hip hop. He ain't coming to salute LL on his new album. Russell Simmons said, I got a good internet connection. Hey, any of my daughters need anything? I'll send y'all a little bit of money here and there. Okay, they took all of my money. I'm broke over here. Listen, rush cards. We got rush cards galore. Russell Simmons won't step foot. And he keep on giving his little old opinion from over there somewhere in Bali. I think he in Bali. Russell Simmons won't step foot in the United States of America. No way, no how. Russell said, I got foresight. I can see what they about to do to Diddy. Watch, I told you, Diddy. He won't step foot. He went to a country where you ain't extraditing back out to the United States of America. He gonna die over there. He gonna die over there. Talking about I'm building hotels. Yeah, okay. I'm doing yoga. Russell ain't coming back to the U.S. ever. And I would think that a lot of people have been getting their affairs in order to go ahead and catch that flight. Ain't trying to be over here hanging out. Ain't trying to be over here like Diddy.
Has pointed to how serious these crimes were, that with previous allegations of sex trafficking like R. Kelly and Jeffrey Epstein, the judges also denied bail in that case. But his defense laid out a very lengthy rebuttal to all of that. We heard them say that this is different from Jeffrey Epstein and R. Kelly because there are no minors being alleged in the indictment here. They also say that these acts were consensual, and they point to victim number one, who's named over and over again, who they say is someone within a 10-year relationship with Combs that was toxic but consensual. They said that this person actually tried to sell this same story as book rights to Combs to try to get it out of the media's eye, but instead when he refused, then this civil lawsuit came up. But the judge ultimately said that he could not be released because he is a danger, he has a history of substance abuse and anger issues, and she really drilled down on the fact that after those civil allegations came out last November, he talked to multiple women who he knew during that period and who he apparently tried to change their narrative so they wouldn't go forward and continue testifying or being witnesses to some of these acts that were alleged in the civil complaint and then were again put in the indictment today. And so she said in order to keep that from happening and really to end sex trafficking, since that can happen behind closed doors, it was best to keep him.
Hold on. Before we continue with this, I need y'all to get the likes up. Please and thank you. You know, I know some of y'all may not be bag chasers. Bag chasers, y'all already should know better. Some of y'all may not be bag chasers. Others of y'all are. And so it should go without saying that we need to make sure we get the likes up. Let's rock.
Detained without bond.
Julia, it
Alan,
is,
I'm going to address your
for a lot
super
of
chat
folks,
shortly.
they will find this stunning considering that Diddy, right, Sean Combs, has been previously one of the most successful music superstars in the world. Just a year ago, he was handed a key to New York City. Now here we are, after months of this being out in the public, these allegations being made public, his denials. He's potentially facing 15 years to life in prison. What does the timeline look like here?
Well, we understand that tomorrow they'll try to appeal the judge's decision. His defense will do that tomorrow at 3:30. They'll meet again next week for a conference, and then perhaps we'll be looking at a trial early next year. But Hallie, I have to say what you said there was also striking. I mean, I watched him today sitting there very humbly in court in a black T-shirt, nodding along with his defense, otherwise just looking very stoic, straight ahead at the judge. It's hard to imagine this is the same man, but the timeline is also staggering. It's one thing to think, oh, that was something that happened a long time ago, but the prosecution today said that these acts, what they're calling sex trafficking and coercion, all continued up until this year, Hallie, and started as far back as 2009. So this was not a brief window.
Julia Ainsley live for us there outside court in New York. Can you just give a sense really quickly, Julia, before I let you go? Is it just a scene there? I mean, I have to imagine, given who Sean Combs is, it is just a crush of cameras, a crush of people.
It is. It's been really crowded today, and there have been people who've been driving by, sometimes screaming, "Free Diddy." So
Free Diddy. All right, so look, we're going to switch over to his lawyer, and then I'm going to address your super chats because I see some people want to agree and go against Tom Dog. We will address that. This is Diddy's lawyer addressing his arrest with CNN.
What prosecutors are arguing is not only does your client pose a flight risk, because obviously he's incredibly wealthy, has access to planes and a lot of staff, even though you said he turned over his passport to you months ago. They were also worried about him being able to interfere with witnesses and calling them. And so I guess the question is, how do you assure the court that that won't happen if prosecutors are saying this is someone who's attempted to bribe security staff and has already threatened and interfered with witnesses?
So I think the most important thing, even more important than the passport, is that Mr. Combs came to New York on September 5th. As soon as we realized that this indictment was going to be coming down in a matter of weeks, maybe months, but sometime soon, Mr. Combs got on a plane, left his home in Florida, flew to New York. I called the prosecutors myself. I said, Mr. Combs is in New York. Do you want to know where he is? If you want to know where he is, I'll tell you where he is. But he wants to surrender. He's here to surrender. They didn't want him to surrender because if he surrenders, they don't get to tell the judge that he's a flight risk and he's a danger. Because who, as a danger and a flight risk, would fly to New York and surrender? So they didn't want him to surrender.
So since September 5th, you had known, you expected it was likely he was going to formally face charges.
So I really knew he was formally going to face charges on March 25th, the day of the searches. When Homeland Security searched his Los Angeles home, his Miami home, and his airplane, I knew that day by looking at the search warrants. I mean, I've been doing this for a while. This is not my first or 100th rodeo, that this was going to come as a matter of time. What I realized in early September is that it was coming soon. And so it was time for Mr. Combs to come to New York, which he did. And let me just point out one very important thing. The prosecutors are seizing on something that happened 8 years ago. You know, this video that we've all seen, and it's a bad video for Mr. Combs, and he said so himself when he gave his apology. This is 8 years ago, and the prosecutors are talking about him bribing a hotel security worker. There was no criminal investigation. This was just a matter of personal embarrassment because he and the person in the video were in the midst of a 10-year relationship. That was difficult at times, that was toxic at times, but it was mutually so. And this whole notion that Mr. Combs is forcing drugs on someone is just nonsensical, and it's going to prove to not be true.
Well, on that video, he initially denied the allegations when his then girlfriend, who is in that video, filed a lawsuit last fall. And we have that video. I should note CNN was the first outlet to exclusively report on it. He denied that happened when she filed.
That video was insane. Let me go ahead and fast forward past that part. I don't even want to show that part.
Sex crimes. I mean, because at the end of the day, the gravamen of that civil complaint wasn't a misdemeanor assault, which is what you see on that video. Not minimizing it, but it's a misdemeanor assault. What the gravamen of the complaint was sex crimes, and he denied that, and he still does.
Well, and you're saying that this is all just about that one relationship, but when you read through the indictment, they say that there's not just one victim. They say there's multiple victims here today. And what I heard described was they said they have 50 witnesses or victims.
Yeah, I think it's 49 witnesses and one victim. I think if you broke it down, and I say that because count 2, which is the sex trafficking count, has victim number 1, and there is no victim number 2 anywhere in the indictment.
So you're saying that there are not other women, because what they were essentially arguing here is that he coerced and forced women into sex acts by using physical force, financial pressure, emotional abuse, and narcotics for what they described as these freak-off sessions. They're saying that he self-described them as that.
Yeah, there's one victim in the indictment. That the charging document.
One victim does count, right?
No, of course, but I'm just not. It's not 50. I mean, what they did, and it's a little too cute, is it's 50 witnesses or victims. Well, it's one victim. That's all that's in the indictment.
Our reporter,
Which is the person that they have in the video, Cassie.
who was in the courtroom today, said that he appeared to have a stunned expression on his face. Was he surprised that he was arrested last night?
No, he definitely was not. I mean, I told him myself in early September, you are going to be arrested soon, and you're going to be charged with racketeering, and you're going to be charged with sex trafficking. So come to New York. It wasn't a long conversation. He agreed. So we knew this was coming. And in fact, we offered that he would turn himself in.
So if there are these witnesses and victims, and as you're saying that you believe it's one victim and 49 witnesses who saw this behavior, that's pretty powerful, though, to have that many people who have, if they go to court and argue that they witnessed this behavior by your client.
Well,
what's your defense against that going to be?
So my defense is very well established. I interviewed myself the different men who were being brought sort of into Mr. Combs and this person's intimate situation. I've flown around the
Let's continue, y'all.
country. I've interviewed a large number of them. There's not the slightest inkling, according to the interviews
I see
that
you,
I've
Quinn.
done,
I'm gonna address
of
the
anything
super
that's
chat shortly.
coercive, non-consensual. Nobody was too drunk. Nobody was too high. These were adults in a relation. This is a 10-year relationship. We can't forget that. This is a 10-year relationship.
all Cassie.
And it was adults and consensual, and everybody who was there wanted to be there. So I feel very confident in our position.
You said you interviewed the men, but what about the women?
I haven't interviewed the woman. The woman's not available to me. She's presumably a grand jury witness, and we would not. We cannot try to interview a grand jury witness.
Listen, we all know who the one victim is, and we all know who the people. Gene Deal probably is one of the. I think that Gene Deal is a POS personally. That's just me. I think that Gene Deal is a POS. But we all know who the witnesses are, and we all know who the people are. All right, this is not new. This is not new news, any of that. We know who the person is a person that they got video footage of, that once CNN released the footage, that Diddy was going to be arrested, that it was all going to go downhill from there, all right? Here's the part where I have a problem with, because I believe, this is my opinion, and I'm going to read y'all super chat shortly, I personally believe that all of these people that are coming out against him are either one of two people. Either first, they are out there for the money grab, or number two, they don't want to be implicated along with them. Managers, security guards, people that was a part of the freak-offs, whoever it was, it's easy to convince somebody to testify against somebody else when they start looking at the facts that they got trafficking charges on them. Oh, okay. Well, listen, you might be an accomplice. You might definitely catch these charges too. You're going to catch this L too. But you know what the difference is? You ain't got Diddy money. You ain't got Diddy money. And so what do? They start squealing. Even though they was a part of the freak-offs, even though they was a part of the freak-offs, then they start telling and they start snitching. That's what happens. Oh man, I think that every last one of them people is going to tell, they're going to snitch, they're going to say whatever it is that need to be said in order to get themselves out of the situation. That's just the facts.
And you don't think that there are any other women who are going to say that they were coerced into this, given drugs, and essentially as prosecutors were saying that that's what kept them compliant?
So there are a lot
sessions.
of women in these civil cases. There's been a mountain of civil cases ever since the civil case that was filed in November. I don't see them as victims in the indictment. That's my point.
And so when you talk about that video of Cassie Ventura, that was his then girlfriend, in the video, I mean, just when you saw that, you said it's a bad video. It's pretty difficult to watch.
It is, no question. So let me tell you what happened. a hotel. It was just the two of them in a hotel room. She found out that he was seeing someone else. She was going through his phone. She hit him in the head with.
Oh, talk about a lawyer. We getting the tea. All right. Hold on. Let me back up for a minute.
So what I said in court today, and I'll say it again here, is the two of them were in a hotel. It was just the two of them in a hotel room. She found out that he was seeing someone else. She was going through his phone. She hit him in the head with his own phone. And then she walks into the hallway with two bags. One of the bags has all of his clothing taken from him, which is why he runs out in a towel. So this isn't her fleeing from one of these freak-offs. Why would she take his clothing? That's not what it is. And when the evidence comes out, this is going to be completely different than the government's portrayed it.
But on this video,
let's break that down for a second. Was him putting his hands on her good? No, it was absolutely horrible, demonic. It should have never happened whatsoever. But what the lawyer is saying is, listen, wasn't nobody else there but them. She went through his phone, found out that he had some separate hoes aside from her. This is what the lawyer's saying. Don't sit there and try to get mad at me for repeating and putting it in student language and perspective. She found out that it was another chick. She hit him in the head, grabbed his clothes, and that's why he was running out with socks and only a That's why he was running out with a towel and only some socks on. This is what the lawyer said. This is what the lawyer said. All right. All I'm doing is just breaking it down to see student perspective.
and I just want to show that again now. How do you defend against allegations that he hit?
Nah, I don't want to see that again.
As prosecutors allege, to keep these women in his fold? Maybe just Cassie Ventura, but keeping these women in the fold.
Cassie Ventura lived by herself. She had her own house. She had a family. She had a career. And he was seeing another woman at the time. He wasn't around a lot. She could have done whatever she wanted to do. All of these allegations of, I was forced, I was coerced, I had to stay, are nonsense. And it's going to be proven to be so.
That video.
April Williams, you so bitter. April, you so mad. You so mad that we getting another view to the story and ain't nobody siding with nobody. We just saying that the plot thickens. Why do women get so emotional? Why do women and feminine men get so emotional when we start to get more context to the conversation? Okay, we always have said that it's her side, it's his side, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle. So now y'all feeling some type of way because we get more context than just what their lawsuit is saying. It's her side, it's his side, and then it's the truth. I don't side with anybody except objectively trying to figure out where the truth is and where it comes back down to the money. Don't feel no type of way because I'm reviewing what the lawyer said. The lawyer said it. So you getting mad at me because the lawyer is saying that it's another side to the story?
In the indictment, it alleges that your client paid hotel staff $50,000 to make it disappear from the hotel surveillance system. Did he pay off the hotel staff?
Not that I know of. I know that's an allegation. I don't know that is true. What I was concerned about when I heard about this allegation is whether there was an allegation that there was some sort of law enforcement investigation pending, because then that would be a crime. But there was none. And so this is not a crime.
You said you're portraying this as adults who were at these events that wanted to be, I shouldn't even call them events. That's not certainly how anyone else would label it, but that they wanted to be there. But they also allege that.
And secondly, y'all got to also understand and see, this is why it's difficult to talk to people. When I talk to people in real life, the first thing I do is I say, calm down, get out of your emotions, and let's start looking at the facts. Calm down, get out of your emotions, and let's start looking at the facts. What we do know for a fact is that Cassie was not only suing Diddy, it was more or less other people that was named in that lawsuit, including the record label, the bigger record labels, UMG, all of these other people and all of these other enterprises that were involved in the lawsuit. And then we also know that these places were insured. And so how do we know that Diddy alone was the person that settled the lawsuit? How do we know that it wasn't other people and other entities and other companies that was named as a part of it that was tied to him that said, let's settle this. We don't want to hear anything about it because we haven't heard anything about why he decided to do it in the first place. But when you're emotional, you just jump off the, oh my God. No. If we put our thinking caps on, and this is why men don't have the luxury of being able to make an emotional decision, because when women jump off the bridge and they just, oh my, then why did he settle? And only feminine men and women make emotional decisions. You sit there, you calm down, you think for a minute, and you start replaying all of the things in your head. You sleep on it to make sure that you're operating with a clear perspective, and then you make an informed decision. I don't just jump off the bridge just because y'all do it, because it's the popular thing to do.
They were recorded and essentially used as blackmail. Is that not true?
That's not true. That's not true.
How can you prove that when they have electronic evidence that, as they argue, over 90 cell phones, laptops, iCloud storage accounts, 30 electronic and storage devices, hard drives, thumb drives? Yeah. You're not worried about that?
No, because if they had it, they would have put it in the indictment. And it's not in the indictment.
When it comes to your client's credibility, I think people will look at what he said last fall. And it's not just his attorneys. I mean, he pays those attorneys. They're speaking on his behalf. They're the ones calling her claims baseless and ridiculous.
Look
when
at
you
April.
read the indictment
April,
today,
so
they line up with what...
April, you just need a good man to cover you and guide you. That's all. You just need a good man to cover you and guide you. All of them emotions, we put that away. Hey, baby, come on. Chill out. Chill out for a second. Chill out. Because you about to haul off and do something you ain't supposed to do. Just chill out. This is why women need men to cover them.
What she alleged in that lawsuit last fall.
If the claim is that he had unwanted sex with her, that claim is baseless. And it will be proven to be baseless when we have a trial.
But the claim is obviously the conspiracy, the racketeering. It's much larger than just that, obviously, as you know.
It is, but the government wants it to be. But count 2, which is the sex trafficking count, relates to one person. And
again, I think that we have to make sure that we remove our emotions so that we can come to a logical conclusion, and we don't get emotional. We don't get emotional. We make logical decisions. Now, again, for the people in the back, it's unfortunate that I even have to preface this by saying, I am not a Diddy supporter. You have never, I don't think, only album I think I got a Diddy's is No Way Out. Oh no, that Diddy Dirty Money album was slick. It was hit. I'm coming home. I'm coming. If y'all can listen to R. Kelly, Diddy was dealing with grown people that decided to beat her. If y'all, I pulled up next to a chick the other day. You know what I heard? It's a remix to Ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mama rolling that body, got every man in there wishing. She was like, bounce, 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 bounce. Black woman, bounce, bounce. Her and her homegirl was in the car. It's a remix to it. Oh, yeah. Got every and sipping on coke and I'm like, so what? It's the freaking weekend, baby. I'm about to have me. If you telling me that they can listen to the remix of Ignition, but I can't listen to I'm coming home, I'm coming home. Tell the world that I'm coming. I'm back where I belong. I never felt so strong and if you telling me that y'all can sit there and talk about it's the remix to it, TP2.com, but I can't sit here and listen to I'm coming home, Y'all just some hypocrites. Y'all just some hypocrites. Y'all just some every time that song come on, people, all of the women ran to the dance floor. Bounce, 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 bounce. No, I'm not going for it. You're not going to sit here and try to hold me accountable for something that somebody else did.